The water, bathed in the dim light of evening, splashes about as Orba stands at the river's edge, reluctant to join his sister, Alice, who enthusiastically beckons him. Orba, his thoughts elsewhere, is coaxed into the cool water. Even at a young age, Orba is not fond of swimming, but he finds himself drawn to follow Alice's joyful spontaneity. They splash and laugh, their voices carrying across the riverbank. It is a rare, carefree moment for Orba, typically burdened by the responsibilities thrust upon him at a young age, especially since his older brother, Roan, had joined the military, leaving home in a flurry of dangerous ambitions. Orba reflects on the past week since Roan's departure. He feels the absence keenly, taking on more responsibilities at the farm. It's as if every corner of his world is tinted in Roan's shadow. His longing and unexpressed worry for his brother gnaw at him, though he seldom speaks of it. Orba's mind drifts to the gifts Roan used to bring him from faraway towns, and how now, each relic seems imbued with a somber note of missing. Alice's laughter snaps him back to the river. Her presence, with the serene river and setting sun, momentarily eases Orba's anxious heart. He watches Alice as she splashes water, turning her head towards the golden sky, soaking in every bit of the day's warmth. The peacefulness of the moment ends abruptly when Alice, teasingly close at his side, whispers into his ear, her breath warm, almost pleading, "Stay like this for a while." Startled by the unexpected tone, Orba stares at Alice, puzzled at her earnestness. Yet, he is comforted by the closeness, their shared warmth cocooning them against the chill of the evening air. In these fleeting moments between consciousness and sleep, something feels awry. Orba grapples with a feeling of déjà vu, battling dreams that slip between reality and the haunting fear of losing what little family remains. Suddenly, Orba snaps back, awake, soaked to the bone and confronted by the unmistakable fierceness in Leo Mephius' stare, the fierce lion emblem that marks his identity and destiny as the slave gladiator mask-bearer of the Mephius Empire. Haunted by visions and voices of the past, Orba steels himself, determined to navigate the vicious currents of his fate. His resolve solidifies, he is not the child by the river anymore. Far removed from the peaceful memories of his youth, Orba faces the yawning expanse of his future roles within the Empire, steadfast in his inner revolt and shrouded intentions. As dawn breaks, Orba prepares to undertake the journey from the imperial capital with reluctance, tensions bubbling beneath the surface following Zart Quark's rebellion. Orba, commanded by the Emperor, to head to Apta, knows the journey is fraught with political intrigue. The region is a hotbed of tension, sitting atop the precipice of Mephius and Garbira relations. Orba's past fears blend seamlessly into his current anxieties. For him, these missions are a necessary dance around power, where each step, one misplaced footfall, can spell disaster. He is burdened by memories of battle and trust betrayed by those meant to protect. Before setting off, Princess Velina coolly joins the departing party. Her calm defiance piques Orba's curiosity. The princess, sharp-eyed and graceful, has her own reasons for the journey, reasons not entirely aligned with those of the Emperor or Garbira. Orba senses the intrigues of the royal court playing out within her casual defiance. Awash in preparations for the departure, his mind is further tangled with thoughts of reconciliation between the Emperor's whims and noble loyalties, which stand on a knife's edge at Apta. While the horses are readied and final supplies checked, it becomes apparent that tactical alignments, rather than military muscle, will be crucial. Orba, acutely aware of this, prepares not only for battle but also for the chess-like maneuvers that await him once they reach Apta. Suddenly, the Emperor's voice coolly interrupts his thoughts, another complicated piece in the Empire's grand strategy. Her purpose is cloaked in layers of subtlety, meant to bolster strategic ties less with words and more through her presence as a bargaining chip amidst Taulia and Mephius' less than cordial relations. The Emperor himself takes a moment with Orba, a sidelong sizing up of his mask, an unspoken reminder of his dual existence, slave and warrior. The Emperor's personal charm, tinged with mild condescension, hints at unspoken expectations for Orba. Very well. If you've begun to sprout a dragon's wings, then I'll have you match up to that expectation and keep Axbazgan in place, the Emperor commands, sealing Orba's mission with a duality of both attempted warmth and implicit threat. Exhausted from the day's whirlwind, Orba turns to the preparatory logistics, the names and leaders of those accompanying him, strategies plotted by captains and commanders. Echoes of past battles layer his thoughts with rich detail, as each piece of intel builds a murky picture that holds just as much deadliness within the walls as on the battlefield. Overwhelmed yet resolute, Orba looks one last time over his contingents, a final scrutiny for discrepancies before setting out. He's aware that loyalty is as fragile as glass and just as easily shattered with a slip of tongue or misunderstood command. As Orba gathers his thoughts, determined to hold his fracturing world together, he steps into the swirling winds of destiny, into the heart of impending turmoil, perhaps hoping against hope, for righteousness carved out of chaos. In the heart of the empire, Orba, perplexed by inconsistencies, examines the aged imperial ledgers. Strange gaps hint at missing trade agreements with the West. Trade with the West is banned? How many years ago was this? Decades, or even over a century, he muses aloud, much to the frustration of Din, his companion. The young serving boy, Din, interjects with a reminder of the ongoing preparations for an inspection, noting Prince Orba's distraction that nearly costs him precious time. Orba is caught up in studying trade histories, thinking, could there have been dealings with the Zor Town days? Abruptly, Din encourages Orba to delegate such investigations, suggesting, leave that to me, and no need to rush. Prince, please take care of yourself, emphasizing his devotion. Obeying reluctantly, Orba comprehends the necessity of addressing immediate responsibilities while harboring curiosity about the kingdom's clandestine past. At the Sonan gates, a cortege forms as Prince Gil plans to lead his troops out. The air hums with energy as courtiers and townspeople alike gather for the ceremonial departure, a tradition wrapped in the symbolism of honor and protection. Guardsmen with embellished spears briskly hold their positions, and amidst this spectacle, Prince Gil, actually Orba hidden behind a mask, musters resolve. His reflections reveal a duality, public duty battling private intrigue, as he rides ahead of his troops. Yet, Orba's focus is inevitably drawn towards the political whispers of his environment, particularly regarding movements in Axbazgan's territory. A conversation unfolds amongst the ranks, go in, a confidant, deliberate strategy. He notes Axbazgan's suspicious movements. If Emperor Gul couldn't attack Apta, was reinforcements expected? To such concerns, Fedem Orlin, advisor and orchestrator, grins slyly, insisting on careful planning against the backdrop of hidden agendas. In this atmosphere of collaboration and secrecy, Orba encounters Simon Rodloom, whose unassuming demeanor belies a calculating mind. Engaged in talks about the throne's future, Simon's understanding of politics deepens the layers of the imperial tapestry. The people wish he would distance himself from court intrigue and rather pass the title of crown prince. Simon's insights spark reflection within Orba, triggering considerations about his dual identity and the advantage, or peril, such a masquerade presents. Orba's life hangs between accepting secrets and revealing truths. He thinks about the emperor's apparent reluctance to instate an heir, suspiciously masking old concerns with new dilemmas. By evening in the city of Barak, a distinct chapter unfolds. Merchants enliven markets with airships and exotic wares. Zaj Heyman, astute and opportunistic, studies trade transports, particularly those reaching Barak laden with a fortune. His musings steer towards grand schemes involving Prince Gil's political maneuverings. Zaj Heyman's plotting maneuvers through Barak's bustling alleys, inhibited neither by camaraderie nor villainy. Trade is an art, and right now, opportunities are abundant, he advises his subordinates. Attention turns to accurately assessing Prince Gil's ambitions and plans. What value lies in them? Do they understand the stake of such power? With maps sprawled open and conjecture forming substance, Zad's influence becomes apparent as he instructs his men on gathering information on Apta and Zor Torlan. His insights resonate with the intention to exploit every shadow and light of the empire's breadth. Each directive he gives sparkles with intent to decipher concealed narratives and foster alliances or rivalries, whichever promises prosperity. Meanwhile, the camaraderie of Orba's adventure thrums with camaraderie and introspection. Trust navigates the harsh landscapes as the troop presses onward. The looming threats and political subterfuge encase each day in the duality of hope and uncertainty. In these unfolding scenes, Orba's journey interweaves with personal commitment and expansive loyalty, striving towards an understanding of what sovereignty requires and what truths a prince must shield and reveal. As Orba lives through each scene with keen attention, he stands at the precipice of change, battling internal conflicts while engaging the outer world with the poise of an imperial leader, a prince without a crown. Apta and Tolia are isolated by the flowing Eunice River, a natural barrier dividing the north and south. The fast-moving waters ensure that only someone as daring as Apta Forest's bandits could dare the crossing, and they possess no ships. A map holds an emperor's signature but lacks strategic sense. Caravans opt for safer, alternate paths, abandoning the perilous ascent of the cliffs despite an easier route being evident on paper. Zaj Harmon, an audacious merchant in Byron, boasts an unyielding determination. He squares off with an imperial envoy from Mephius, having set off on a journey with a noble woman, and alongside them travels Orba, a masked enigma serving as both a gladiator and fiercely loyal bodyguard. Zaj's swift promotional schemes are no match for towering obstacles like steep cliffs, but his awareness of the Apta capital's risks resonates deeply. Notions of airships capture attention, demanding tactical genius rather than physical endurance to ensure safe passage. Zaj's skills, however, lie far from valiant duels. Orba, meanwhile, expresses disdain for bipartisanship. To hell with AK. A frigid wind accompanies the travelers to a waiting crowd, who greets them with chipper humor. Orba finds himself caught off guard, still adapting to the shifting political terrain, especially after having outmaneuvered enemies in dramatic fashion. Plans to deter the provincial armies persist like an emperor's decree, embraced as living wisdom. Zaj abandons pretense, "I won't relay the consort's orders to me." The fifth day greets the Byron cityscape, a vista interspersed with merchants peddling their wares and soldiers milling about with eagerness for new conquest. Orba, compelled by circumstances, dons a plain disguise to journey incognito, brushing shoulders with the masses without standing out. The conversational chatter about Apta's vexing affairs tantalizes Orba, teasing snippets of royal politics like threads on a fragmented tapestry. Princess Velina's unexpected appearance is a shared curiosity. Garbara's relations with Mephius weave intricate strands of diplomacy, ripe with opportunities for clashing motives. Her familiarity with firearms is a charade she expertly maneuvers, playing through the ordnance with heedless jest. "Hey, did you see that?" Children are always troublesome creatures. Velina approaches Orba as if gossip summoned by flair, provocations rolling off her lips effortlessly. Hope teeters on a finely balanced edge, ready to sway with a breath. Her pragmatic musings reveal layers where impulses nestle warmly against ideas of revolt, echoed in the words she uses like swordplay against invisible foes. These formations of power whispers gain structure, taking shape within the kingdom's dialogues though not yet expressing singular assurance. "Then I'll take the soldiers," Velina, as if half jesting, allows small concessions to flicker within her bright demeanor. Her laughter, prosperous as shared conspiracy, alights brightly over the grim secret swirling within royal chess games. Orba and Velina coexist upon contrasting thoroughfares, negotiating in an ambit of mutual awareness. They linger yet allow free expression, integrating strategies seated within minds heavily armored against overt challenges. Observations and advice stir around the room like dust particles carried off the sidewalks of Byron. Next, shadows encroach. A scheduled assembly draws near, fractious tongues preparing for deployment. Desperate agreements brood and seethe even in the early morning chill, with distasteful tasks weighed out among those enjoying the warmth indoors. Orba listens intently to imperial directives delivered to soldiers preparing for field deployment, his thoughts remaining his own, cloaked, shrewdly blending with marching footfalls. The wary daybreak exposes facades shuffling among ambush posts. Zaj questions the credibility of overriding Mephius directives when confronted with Sir Torin, Empress Flora's rigid advisors. "I'd say that's more suitable for now." Orba, discarding subterfuge, approaches Hu Ran with careful regard. She surfaces from amid the fleet, riding along Hu Ban, defying predictable pathways marked by unseen allies' cloaks. Hu Ran, interweaving observance and majesty over unpaved territories drawn through shared keenness, converses knowingly with their newfound pawns about Apta's enduring struggle. She voices, like a dragon partially unchained. Together at Apta Fortress, a phalanx of robust defenses appear impregnable, projecting ancient deterrence. Past the gates, Orba exchanges tactical wisdom for comforting affirmations as he navigates human landscapes poised for debate. The masses, persistent as the Apter winds, endure their tumultuous existence hemmed between temporal boundaries, reassured by Orba's promises ingrained in lineage. A fusion of family names recognized yet fundamentally rooted in obscurity clusters around formidable retrospection, eager to discern Apter's looming destiny, keeping every revolution of treacherous winds perceptibly close, alas, much to be risked. Emerging beside indefatigable spires, constructed for shielding Mephius royalty, the persona of Orba becomes more difficult to decipher. Shimmering courtyards glimmer beneath the dawn's initial rays, ushering the view toward seated, commanding figures emblazoned in the memories of Apter's rising prospects. Venerated, public figures exude the outward victory of provenance across timelines undefined by immediacy, showcasing a panoramic reverence. In this myriad sequence, plots unfold intricately. Strengths and vulnerabilities maintain a precarious equilibrium, breaching beyond action into narratives woven immune to just surface gestures, safeguarding inherent values. As Orba contemplates the collective fates bound alongside Apter's fortunes, the mechanics of intervention redefine clarity amidst threats perceivable and obscure alike. The bond between him and his allies, promising in potential yet cautious in reality, withstands the ceaseless atmospheric push of historical currents set against the rush of impending conflict. Orba finds himself engulfed in a vibrant atmosphere as he immerses in a festive evening, surrounded by joyful laughter and music. The lively gathering is full of beautiful women and cheerful voices, while Orba stands somewhat aloof, holding a drink. Amidst the merriment, Shikyu, noticing Orba's distant demeanor, acknowledges the difficult predicament he faces. Shikyu offers a subtle nudge towards the refreshment in Orba's hand, remarking, "That's why I must be the one to help him." Caught in the companionship of merrymakers, Orba's attention shifts when Shikyu guides his focus to a man named Bane, notorious for his disdainful treatment of women. This man, drunk and red-faced, catches Orba's eye as he is introduced as someone who served under General Ubri. Attention simmers beneath Orba's calm exterior, but he maintains his composure and clinks a glass with Bane. The apparent ease with which Orba handles the situation makes an impression on those around him. In the midst of the gathering, discussion turns to war strategy. Bane, impressed by Orba's demeanor, acknowledges a past association with General Ubri. Orba, though recognizing the potential for provoking Bane's ire, remains diplomatic and speaks with a confident but measured tone. Subtle exchanges weave into more serious conversations, blending the boisterous festivity with underlying tension about future endeavors and negotiations with Apter. Brought into an atmosphere of ceremonial elegance, Orba stands alongside others, observing war slaves bound in chains. These unyielding fighters, though restrained, exude an indomitable spirit. They move with a synchronized cautiousness, their constraints more a symbol than a real encumbrance. Shikyu and Goen ensure order, yet a near-escape attempt by one of the slaves, Gil, erupts into commotion. Gil's fervent struggle exemplifies the resilience needed to endure the environment they find themselves in. Gil's moment of resistance is short-lived, as Orba's intervention quells the disturbance. Orba confronts the slaves, trying to instill in them a sense of duty and responsibility. The gravity in his voice resonates deeply, urging them to find harmony within the roles they must undertake. It is not just about martial prowess but understanding their interconnected fates. As Orba addresses the slaves, he reveals Pashia, a leader among them. Orba wisely shifts his authority, placing Pashia in command of the contingent. This strategic decision is meant to foster cooperation and morale amongst them, vital for their shared mission. The revelation that Pashia, previously a war slave himself, will now lead impresses upon everyone the underlying hope that binds them together. The story further pierces the somber mood as Orba strategizes about their journey to Apter. Among the key players is Peewee the Black, known for his predictions and guidance. Names and stations are discussed, strategies are devised, and as plans crystallize, Orba's mind carefully evaluates each avenue they might take in their tactical maneuvering. A short journey eventually sees the gathering arrive at a castle before sunset, setting a backdrop of dusky hues against their arrival. The Marian Forest and the Garbran border present themselves as critical strategic points, intricate parts of Orba and his companions' plans. Among these various facets of warfare and political maneuvering, trust and loyalty are put to the test, layering complications atop the existing political landscape. The plot tightens as Orba engages with Reiners and Velina in the confines of a luxurious garden. Their discussions steer towards uncertainties hovering over Velina's fate in marriage negotiations, political alliances, and the power struggles that perpetually loom over their heads. Her reflection on the grand scheme of events, from the deceptive clarity of starlight to the harsh reality of battles, paints a poignant picture. Velina's introspection reveals the weight of traditions and expectations on her shoulders. As sudden chaos breaks the contemplative calm, Velina is thrust into a burgeoning conflict. Cannon fire erupts unexpectedly, disrupting the fragile peace, and quickly draws soldiers into a readiness they hadn't anticipated. Sheik's alert nature springs into action, directing Velina toward safety amidst the escalating tremors shaking the night. Following cannon eruptions, warriors engage in rapid defense maneuvers. The engagement quickly turns into a fierce scramble to repel attackers at the Apta stronghold. As frenzied tumult envelops the battlefield, soldiers swarm under command, setting lines and securing territories. The enemy surprise attack is met with swift, firm resistance as strategic alignments come to life. Simultaneously, Natok, observing from within his ranks, presses an assault, determined to break past Apta's defenses. Soldiers on both sides rush forward in a storm of activity, anticipating the heavy duties of battle awaiting them beyond the gates. Yet, Natok's forces meet immediate resistance, as explosions light the sky, and the defensive measures of Orba's allies withstand the barrage. The steadfast determination amongst Orba's comrades fuels their actions. They harness the surrounding chaos, translating it into a tactical advantage. The furious energy propels them ever closer to securing their stronghold at Apta, holding fast against the pressing wave of Natok's offensive. The narrative unfolds within a delicate balance of political intrigue, burgeoning alliances, and the unavoidable thrust of battle. Each character navigates their role, interwoven between plots of mutual survival and the wrestling of power amidst the ever-present shadows of war. Mephius has fallen, marking a momentous victory in Natok's campaign. Orba commands the field with precision as Natok, the enemy commander, experiences the bitter taste of defeat. The battle is nothing short of brutal. Soldiers armed with spears and shields overpower Natok's troops, and bullets create a thunderous symphony, culminating in an explosive conquest. We were meant to lure the enemy into our trap, Natok had hoped, but his dreams now lay shattered, as Orba's strategy prevails. The aftermath of the chaos sees the surrender of the Zerdian forces. Their commander, Natok, in a move of dignity or perhaps defiance, declares, "I want nothing for myself, but if you could, please be easy on my men." This request, handed over to Orba, finds a masked man standing resolute, exhibiting a silent nod, a gesture acknowledged by Natok's admission. Meanwhile, Orba's sharp wit is evident as he captures both the zeal and incredulity in his strategy's success. Rumors, information, and lastly, intuition, he confidently reveals, staying one step ahead of the enemy. Yet, despite the victory, the air is thick with the weight of unseen struggles. Transition finds Orba atop the fortress's steps, deliberating with Prince Gil. Their conversation is layered with the political intricacies of Mephius. Orba's shrouded identity as the prince adds a layer of complexity and tension as he issues a straightforward challenge. You may say that a well-timed attack would have been more advantageous. Prince Gil's response isn't heated as expected, rather it's a curious inquiry into the possibility of future alliances. His tone, marked with regal authority, suggests long-standing diplomatic ties might be jeopardized. Orba's swift mind, however, counters with strategic offers, ensuring Apta remains under protection. Within these moments, the true political dance unfolds. Both men, guarded yet earnest, maneuver the conversation, each vying for an advantageous position without explicitly revealing their cards. The air is filled with unspoken intentions, the anticipation of future moves lingering like a hanging question. Amidst this, Orba navigates through unexpected encounters. An interaction with Nue, a figure laden with animosity due to his past allegiances, challenges him. Still, Orba remains composed, asserting, "You certainly hold misgivings on the war that will occur with end in the near future." Nue's face is a mask of emotion, but Orba deftly persuades him to align temporarily for mutual advantage. Parallelly, Shikyu and Goin, figures of valor and camaraderie, bring levity to the tense backdrop with their banter. The intricacies of battle strategy and political talk are a world apart from Sheik's carefree demeanor as he candidly remarks about his choices and the influences guiding his decisions. The allure of grand events, epitomized by figures such as the dragon-taming Hu Ran, brings tales of both admiration and intrigue. As the airship stands ready, Velina Tragel reflects alongside Orba. Their conversation is a deep dive into identity and purpose, with Velina seeking to understand Orba's enigma. Her probing questions lead to revelations, Orba's past, his evolving roles, and the shadows that both shield and obscure his true self. Velina's inquiry, "Orba, who am I?" is not just a question for him, but perhaps a mirror reflecting his inner turmoil. Orba's response, mindful and deliberate, encapsulates the myriad challenges they face, both internal and external. He reveals insights into the burdens of leadership and loyalty, underscoring his dedication to a cause greater than himself. As their paths converge and diverge, the complexities of duty, honor, and personal ambition continue to intertwine, setting the stage for the unfolding saga where past loyalties clash with future prospects. In the starkness of battle and the quiet moments of introspection, the threads of destiny weave a tale rich in drama and revelation. In the tense moments at the Apollo Gardens, Orba contemplates the carefully guarded interactions between him and the elite aristocrats. His hesitation stems from the precarious position he's in, burdened with the weighty task of safeguarding Gabara's future. Nue, casting a glance at the sky, voices his reluctance to entrust Gabara's survival to Orba, a man he does not trust completely. Orba, though frustrated at being underestimated, keeps his composure, knowing he must tread carefully. He understands the precarious position he's in, caught between political intrigues and hidden agendas. Despite the friction, Orba understands the importance of aligning with Nue to counter Mephius. During their discussion, Prince Gil, seemingly absent-minded, commands, "Do not fret." Whenever I feel as if I'm about to exceed my patience and decide it's time to give his bottom a good hard kick, he always looks at me. This assertion catches Nue unprepared, hinting at the prince's steadfast resolve. As they talk, Nue reveals his plan for handling Mephius, confidently stating he intends to make a decisive move. Orba, astute and strategic, acknowledges the sophistication of Nue's schemes while pondering on how to gain Nue's trust fully, aware that only then can he truly maneuver through the minefield of power struggles. Night falls at Apollo, and while the soldiers' spirited cries echo outside, inside the fortress, a tense silence pervades. Orba, parsing through his thoughts, questions whether to align immediately with Nue or proceed cautiously. Despite his inner turmoil, Orba decides to wait and speaks, "I won't decide now." Nue presses Gul about the upcoming alliance proposals with Axe. Nue sees this as a strategic stepping stone, potentially sparking a civil war in Mephius. In the quiet, Gil deliberates on alliance prospects and the potential chaos it might unleash, knowing well how power could shift dramatically. If it breaks out, Nue exclaims with brewing excitement, not only will Axe move to make a historical milestone, but it'll provide us with new opportunities. In a shift of scenes, Axe Bazgan stands amidst Taulia's memorial shrine, engrossed in contemplations concerning Mephius Prince Gil. A messenger's arrival stirs discussions about potential alliances and threats. Axe, rife with disbelief, frowns over the Mephian-fringing disagreements while determining the next best approach. The weight of a potential alliance or conflict rests heavily. As they mull over Gil's intentions, Axe knows he must marry strategic counsel with military execution. He strategizes aloud, contemplating, "Gabara has to tend to its affairs with End, so I suspect they won't stay for much longer." With reinforcements possibly en route, Axe's decision-making becomes urgent. Unbeknownst to him, unrest brews among Mephius subjects elsewhere. Younger radicals speak in hushed tones about Gada, captivating belief in a mythical persona binding them to a larger cause. The magical enigma surrounding Gada echoes through corridors, compelling all, yet commanding none. Meanwhile, a conspicuously assertive conference occurs between Axe and Taulia. Axe, unfazed by unwavering winds, prepares for discussions, despite the surrounding tempest. His long journey, both literal and figurative, leads him to the heart of decisive dialogues with Mephius, assessing positioning both politically and territorially. Princess Esmina Bazgan, surrounded by Taulia's grandeur, finds herself immersed in unfamiliar conversation centered around power, lineage, and territorial claims. Her father's impassioned speeches hit a nerve, sparking concern over looming confrontations. Esmina, attuned to shifts around her, questions the broader implications, her forethoughts foreshadowing potential storms ahead. As tensions mount, Gil faces his own internal tempest, conflicted between instincts and necessity. His oscillating thoughts on the course are driven by the promise of power's allure, yet the traps hidden beneath its guise still haunt him. It's a delicate dance, orchestrated in shadow. In concluding counsel, Axe scrutinizes the possible threats and potential allies within the shifting landscape of politics. Deep skepticism lingers, especially as rumors forecast eventual confrontations and calculated betrayals. In the shadows, complex tactics propel characters into an escalating swirl, with the promise of historic outcomes drawing them toward an uncertain future. Strategic maneuvers ripple through the narrative, enticing figures into an intricate chessboard of trust, power, and deceit. Each character grapples with their own inner illusions and aspirations, setting the stage for what is bound to become an epic saga. The echoes of past battles blend into the winds of the present, forecasting challenges and the resolutions yet to unfold. At a glance, the gladiator once used to entertain hordes of people by battling women. Now, his life revolves around Princess Velina, whose determination often surprises with its intuitive understanding of events, a virtue she displays as she grips his shoulder in reassurance. This dynamic between them is undeniable proof of Velina's growth into a splendid woman. You have all to gain by taking this. It's much more convenient if Velina handles all this instead. Orba, with noticeable reluctance, agrees. Still, there is a lingering concern. Shikyu speaks up, adding that the burden is now shared, but Orba's personal dread doesn't dissipate so easily. Velina intervenes, calling attention to Orba's presence. The destination, his return, and the unforeseen events are on their minds. Yet, the quick resolution distracts these thoughts, turning their focus instead to what lies ahead. The stern, observational glances are directed toward Ravan Dole, listening attentively to the progress report. "I'm sure things aren't exactly according to plan." Brings a slight smile to his face. There is an element of anticipation, almost a spark of mischief in his calm demeanor. Orba watches as Velina shows a proactive side, pulling her down to speak with her hand on his. The candid pose suggests trust. There's a delicate charm to their interaction, they share a remarkable understanding, almost as though the weight of their shared experiences has drawn them unnaturally close. Their exchange comes to a tranquil halt as Velina prepares to face a critical conversation. She is greeted by Roget, whose presence signifies the approaching discussion with charm. Velina, utterly unfazed, nods. The simple commands given and received illustrate the seamless strength their bond exudes. Velina, now a swiftly moving force through palace halls, is recognized fondly by her grandfather. An informal exchange about the distinctively different Orba highlights the complexities of their intertwined fates, although talk of the past spearheads a more sentimental tone. Which is the real me? Orba's semblance or the Gabran princess? Velina's thoughts unfurl. The dichotomy of her life never ceases to puzzle her, presenting both constraints and avenues for her ambitions. Those who still see her as merely a princess are out of touch with her growth and what she envisions for herself and those around her. As Velina halts within her chambers, her thoughts coalesce on Apta, the fortress that represents her ongoing challenge. Her rest momentarily disturbed, her ambitions and newfound responsibilities weigh heavily on her. Yet, determination always overshadows her doubts. The nightfall meetings, shrouded in the delicate evening air, see Velina with confidence laced in her footsteps. Acknowledging the words of support and strategy, she faces a turning point. Her decisiveness crisp, her resolve shines like a beacon. Her aim for unity in their struggle against the adversary is earnest and driven. Within the calm facade, her internal storm brews, she's aware of the impending battle at Apta and their combined efforts needed to transform the tide. At the break of a new dawn, the commitment she makes silently seals her intentions and prepares the stage for future confrontation through the unpredictable chaos that war can bring. Meanwhile, Orba navigates behind enemy lines, carving silently through the enemy's defenses in the crutch of the darkness. The tactical advisories given and exchanged form their conspiracy against the enemy forts. Send Apta to shatter those ships. If needed, to demise the dragons from our land. The imperative circumvention and precise commands carry a gravity that reflects Orba's urgency. Time practice is further constraint as reports from Ravan Dole amplify the battle intentions. The dragons' reports, often exaggerating, now integrate a level of fear and intimidation that adds unforeseen complexities to their already perilous pursuits. As they fortify their positions and endure skirmishes along the estuary, Orba's strategy requires an acute observation of the enemy movements. His resolve demands an astute analysis of the fort's complex layout interconnected with the advancing omen of their enemy. Amidst the intense rallying calls and whirlwinds of methodical strategies unraveling, a tense draw is mirrored through poised exchanges and reconciliations of losses. The emerging confrontation, akin to the imminent collision of two storms, lines the horizon with forthcoming fury skilled in the art of tactical warfare. Velina's intentions, fixed with an iron-wrought determination and Orba's shadow-stepping maneuvers, set the unfolding scene, where war separates the reckless from the wise and where swift plans arise to surmount the enemy's stronghold. Within this anticipatory stillness, every strategic move resonates with earnest urgency, threading through the stormy chasm where light meets might, across the embattled skies where reverberations of the battle long foretold hang ever present. The broader horizon churns with the tumultuous dance of oncoming conflict, a teacher of hard lessons, spectacle and test, a palette where courage and fear paint in strokes bold and fleeting. Ravan Dole stands resolute, issuing orders with precision as his forces retreat from the now engulfed fortress of Apta. The unyielding walls, once symbols of strength, are now breeding grounds for chaos and destruction, with smoke billowing fiercely into the sky. Having been temporarily thwarted, Ravan Dole plots a calculated return to Taulia, eager to regroup and strike back at the heart of disorder. In this chaotic sphere, Axbazgan moves stealthily in the shadows, hiding amidst abandoned provisions and hastily constructed shelters. Strategizing meticulously, he awaits the moment to reveal his presence with a deafening eruption meant to catch the enemy unawares, casting confusion and fear among their ranks. Meanwhile, the tension mounts in the skies above as enemy airships engage with Dogman's fleet. Amidst this turmoil, a familiar face emerges, Crow, a seasoned pilot with wounds still fresh from past battlefield encounters. Now in command of the force under Ravan Dole's aegis, Crow surveys the aerial ballet with a practiced eye, steering the Taulian forces in a bid for victory. As the fleet maneuvers deftly, a lone ship, against the odds, communicates in a sharp, scathing tone across the ether. The captain, witnessing the relentless drive of the enemy forces, expresses concern about the ensuing battle, wondering aloud whether this skirmish would lead only to needless destruction. Yet, the promise of the upcoming battle invigorates their spirit, and they prepare their weapons as the fleet looms closer to the illicit operation, carrying the fate of their mission on the winds of uncertainty. As the tension builds, Velina decides her fate is intertwined with the outcome of the events transpiring. Despite warnings, she carries herself determinedly across the ship, drawing the captain's attention who casts worried eyes upon her. But her resolve is solid, her presence ignites courage rather than hesitation. Amidst the clamor of attack and retreat, the captain booms the order, retreat. Immediate retreat. But just as the imminent surrender hangs in the air, a sudden gust of change takes hold. Velina's commanding voice slices through the din, halting the retreat and inciting the forces back into a position of advantage, turning the retreat into a surprise offensive move. Miraculously, with a stroke of fortune or fate, a shot fired seems to cut through the turmoil, hitting its mark as the enemy stagger under this sudden pressure, and their ranks break. In this newfound chaos, the soldiers rally, cheers erupting as they turn the tide. The tables have turned, Ravan Dole's forces taste the sweet edge of triumph as enemy ships falter and scatter. Ravan Dole is astounded, yet alert. Amidst the frenzy, a message from his cavalry reeks of urgency. They've tamed their fierce winged beasts, now converging upon the battlefield with renewed zeal. With powerful strides, they surge forward, crimson and shadow, as Orba, a masked youth full of cunning and valor, leads their fierce charge deeper into the fray. His gaze is relentless as the enemy fleet breaks rank, scattering through the skies, their leaderless state sealing their doomed fate. Orba reckons with the victory soundly, knowing full well the debts of fortune that bought them time and life. In this, he feels both relief and a solemn binding to the people who trust his masked visage with their lives. Yet, amongst this victory is abruptness, a sudden communication brings fresh trials. Ravan Dole prepares to meet representatives of a different breed, ones bound by the whims of Zerda, imaginative creatures almost mythical in standing. A balance of awe and suspicion hovers between their exchange, but trust shall forge pathways anew through the vacated corridors of past hostilities. Amid exhilarating victories come sobering realizations. Orba gazes from the sidelines, wishing for simpler outcomes where alliances blossom just as easily as enmity, hoping that the driven purpose burning within their breasts fuels not just battles, but a lingering hope for peace. The atmosphere shifts as the remnants of battle lie settled in the wake of silence. Velina, weariness abating, is met with her own surprise, a gentle, unexpected embrace that speaks of relief, survival, and the warmth of shared tribulations overcome. With this chapter's close, the Taulian struggle marks but the beginning of much larger tales to be written on the pages of history. The echo of triumph and resolve ensures that their journey, though fraught with peril, charts the course for destinies yet defined, a story not of fortresses captured, but of hearts steeled and unified as shields against the unknown future. The air is thick with tension as Buwen stands before Orba, trying to dispel the rumors of his engagement to Emina. Buwen, sincere and earnest, denies such claims, saying, "It is not true. It is only a rumor." Yet, despite his reassurances, Orba remains curious, and wants to know more about Emina and their acquaintance. Emina, previously composed in Buwen's presence, now greets Orba with a smile. The encounter seems weighted with unspoken history. As Emina reveals, "It is an honor to meet you again." Seeking Orba's trust, Emina opens a deeper conversation about their connection from the past. Though their topic is sensitive, it brings warmth into the room. Amidst this, a tactical discussion is underway. The strategist Safar speaks to Shakyu about their enemy's recent movements. Safar emphasizes the importance of seizing an opportunity to strike when the enemy is cornered. "Our goal is to declare a homecoming of warriors, instead of fleeing like hunted prey," he states decisively. He insists on gathering an alliance stronger than any Mephius could offer, underlining the urgent necessity to enact this plan to avoid humiliation. "It's a bold move," Orba observes, joining the conversation. Shakyu quips about the princess's tears, noting a vital truth about noble intentions. Orba, while reflecting on these dynamics, readies himself for the next course of action with determination. Later, Orba makes his way to the stables. The atmosphere is bustling with the ongoing repairs following the siege. Attention to the details of the horses' hooves and the organization of dragon cavalry demonstrate the magnitude of the army's preparation. It's a chaotic scene filled with the clamor of hammered metals and the hurried discussions of soldiers and stable hands alike. As Orba rides back to his quarters, he finds an unexpected discovery. A sword, with his name engraved upon it, is powerfully reminiscent. "This? I've seen it before," Orba remarks, puzzled by the rediscovery of something he once called his. The sword's reappearance unlocks a floodgate of memories. Suddenly, the understanding that his past and present are entwined fills him with renewed resolve. The sight of his name etched onto the blade acts as a resurgence of his spirit. The name, Orba, ignites something deep inside. This sword is more than just a weapon, it is a symbol of identity, a link to a part of himself that he had lost. Meanwhile, news in the imperial capital reflects a political and social unrest. Reports of the Allied movement casting shadows over the region have reached even the Emperor's ears. Plans unfold rapidly, with rumors coursing through the halls of power. The political intrigue is palpable, pointing towards cracks in alliances and the possibility of emerging hostilities. Shifting back to Apta, Orba arrives at a bustling site, eager to consolidate forces in preparation for what's to come. An ideologically driven leadership starts to form, focused on reclaiming strength and sovereignty. Engulfed in strategy, Orba sees this as not only a military conflict but also a battle of wits and willpower. It's a story of endurance, fighting not just for protection but for reclamation of lost pride and autonomy. The situation demands swift action, and the anxious energies of soldiers heighten the atmosphere. Conversations are tense, but purposeful. Each character, while faced with fear of potential battle, holds on to hope that the decisions made today will forge a future where dignity thrives. In this tale of war and preparation, Orba stands at the helm of destiny. He is as much a guardian of old bonds as he is a harbinger of new beginnings. The crossroads of conflict and memory converge, hinting at a journey marked by courage, discovery, and an unyielding spirit in the face of tides that threaten to erase legacies.